call the meeting to order at 5:01, and if everybody would please stand if you're able to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, not quite in unison, but I think we all got it. All right. Thank you, everyone. I guess there's to call the roll. I'm going to have to do this from memory. Nancy's here.
Oh, it's okay, Gail. I can do it.
Oh, you can do it? Okay.
Yep, I can do it.
All right, and Nancy's just arrived also?
Yeah, all right. So, Gail.
Here?
Barb.
Here.
Nancy.
Here.
Tony.
Here.
Michelle.
Here.
Tracy.
Here.
Camille.
Here.
All right, and Alderman Wolf and Aaron are excused. We have a quorum.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So the next item on the agenda is public comment. We have no one here. I'm assuming that nobody is in anyone's living room. Is that?
No.
Okay, so I think we can skip the public comment item on the agenda and go right to the consent agenda. And so what I'm looking for is a motion to approve the minutes of the November 16th, 2021 meeting, as well as place on file the library financial reports for December 2021.
I so move.
All right, we've got
I'll
Barb
second
has,
that.
and Nancy has seconded. Britt, are you keeping those notes?
Yep, I'm keeping the minutes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, great. So we have a motion from Barb, a second from Nancy. Any discussion? Well, you know me, but anybody else?
Come on, Gail, what'd you find?
Okay, nothing. I try to isolate every month, maybe just a couple items to talk about at least, so we can all get a little smarter about this. I'm curious on page 5. Just a quick explanation on the branded pens. Are we going to be handing out pens to people on a regular basis?
Regular basis, no. We had tried some of these pens before. If you click them, they show our name. You click them again, they show our email address.
Oh.
For like answering reference questions. You click it again, it has our number. So it's a nice marketing tool that has sort of our contact information on it. We hand them out at random events or on occasion,
Sure.
as little,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
things like that.
Just was wondering what that meant. And then if you would just give a quick recap on the third item down, which was the flooring. Because you have to replace the flooring and then another replace the flooring and obviously the young adult flooring. Just everything came in the way it was supposed to. Any comments on any of this?
Yeah. So that was our capital flooring project. The carpeting project came in. There were no extra expenses that were unanticipated. In fact, they did a few extra things for us. Actually, that was very nice in terms of allowing us to use their dumpster to throw away some of the broken furniture that we had and things like that. So, and they helped move some things that they didn't technically have to move. So they were very agreeable to work with.
There you go.
The carpeting has gotten very positive reviews from patrons, and it really has brightened up the place. And yeah, so that's it. And glad to have that project done. We don't need to replace the flooring again for another 20 years.
Excellent. And forgive me for not knowing the number. Is that under budget, over budget? We got to be close.
We spent the budget on the carpeting.
Okay.
Completely. And then the YA, the flooring was built into the larger project, and so, we still have a little bit of money left over in the YA project, but we're still trying to finish up some things there.
So that's good. I know you said no surprises.
We were at budget.
We were at budget. Okay. All right. On page 8, just because it looked kind of funny, the Scarify trip hazard.
Isn't that a great word?
It is.
So That was a couple cement slabs that have heaved, and heaving is natural and occurs due to weather all the time. But this one was pretty large, and it was not going to settle back down due to weather. It was a pretty bad trip hazard, and so that company came and they ground down the edge so that it would not be a trip hazard anymore.
All right.
I thought perhaps that was George.
I
I have one question, Brittany. On page 5, we got almost $3,000 in credit for Bookends. Were those something we weren't satisfied with, or were they defective?
No,
or?
we rebought them later on.
Where?
Further down.
Good question, Nancy. That was
that.
Such a journey for us. We ordered these magnetic bookends because, especially in our children's area, they're really big books. And when a patron or a delightfully small child pulls one out, a lot of times the entire shelf tips, or not shelf, but the entire range of books falls over, and sometimes they fall on the floor. And so these magnetic bookends have a small magnet that's weak enough where you can, move it back and forth, but strong enough to keep the book ranges from collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really excited that that'll keep our stacks in better shape organizationally. We ordered them, then they had to cancel our order, then they were able to reissue the order. It was such a stock-related issue. Could they get what they promised us? And so it was a bit of a back and forth, but we ended up getting them. So, excuse me.
Okay. For me, on page 9, under U-line, print release desks. I just couldn't imagine what that meant.
Oh, yeah. Good question there. This is one of those things that I'm irrationally happy about because it was such a low cost, ultimately, for the amount of pleasure it's giving me. It's one of the things that the ADA consultant told us was that we needed to make sure that our print release station was ADA accessible. Right now, or before, if you approached our print release station, it was not accessible for someone who would be in a wheelchair. And so this table is one of those tables that you plug in and it can raise and lower. So now it's ADA accessible for anyone who needs it. And so really it's not that the desk itself is doing any type of print function. It's just, it is a table that raises and lowers, and that is our print release station. So that's why it's called
And
that.
forgive me and my poor hearing, but what did you say? What area was not ADA approachable? I missed it twice when you said it.
So the computer next to our copier is called the print release station.
Oh, that's
and
right. Okay.
It has the computer on it, so people can print. If you have 10 people printing at the same time, if it just automatically printed at the copier, then everyone's print jobs would get mixed up and people would be like, oh, is that your page? Is it my page? This way they print from their computer and then they have to go up and enter a code to formally release the print job. It's kind of like a secure print in offices. And so this allows the computer, which used to stand above ADA heights, it allows the table to raise and lower.
I don't want to keep this going for too long here. We're going to rush through here for you. So,
sorry, excuse me.
No. We just don't want to keep the meeting going too long for you here. So,
I have a really dumb question, if you don't mind.
No.
On the bottom of page 9, barcode scanner troubles handled by the Waukesha County Treasurer.
I thought that was
I don't get the connection.
Oh, yeah. So Waukesha County is the fiscal agent for Bridges Library System. So whenever we use a service from Bridges Library System, it will show up as Waukesha County Treasurer only because Bridges Library System uses them as their fiscal agent.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry to bother you with something.
And so we had a problem with our barcode scanner.
Okay.
And their IT consultant at Bridges Library System helped troubleshoot and fix it for us. And so we paid Bridges Library System $75 for that fix. And so that money goes to them.
Okay, thank you.
codes as Waukesha County Treasurer, which is pretty confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, anybody, anything else? We're gonna try and get you out of here as soon as possible, so, anybody, anything else? Okay, I have nothing else, and I think we're at the end of that report. Okay, I'm not seeing anything, and unless anybody else has anything, we'll look for a vote on this. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I keep forgetting there's a delay. Go ahead. Okay, I think we got it all set. Everybody okay with this since we're on a delay, or does anybody have a no vote on this?
All right, I'm just gonna check. I don't see anything in the chat, so I think we're.
Okay, so it looks like we've got a unanimous vote here, so
virtual.
hearing none, we're all set to go. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, since I'm pseudo-president, there's no pseudo-president report, so we'll move on to the next item, which is the director's report. And Brittany, do what you can
All
here.
right.
You know, do what you can.
All right. I'm just gonna make one more quick note. All right. So, let's see. I will just say that our story times are being very well attended.
Can I ask you a question?
We had
maybe?
our
Go ahead.
family teen escape room, and that was popular. We had 131 people attend, and it was quite fun and quite amusing to see different families and teenagers and kids try to solve the riddles and whatnot. So Amanda and Jolynn, who designed the escape room, did a great job with that. So kudos to them.
Can I go back to the donation?
February's library letters month coming up, and so the friends are selling carts for $1, and then we're going to hang them up in the library, and that's kind of similar to what grocery stores sometimes do. And there's more information about their February 12th fundraiser with the trains and all the things that we're doing, so we're excited about that. Excuse me. But yeah, we're excited about this fundraiser. So staff's working with them to help set it up and do the marketing, and it's going to, be a nice, between the success of the book sale this past year and hopefully the continued success, and this new fundraiser in February, and then the garden walk, which is already gearing up to be another exciting second year for that. We're working really hard to continue that fundraising going with the friends, and the friends are working very hard, so we're excited about that.
How do you get a heart?
Lots of.
You buy one.
What's that?
How do you get a heart?
You buy one.
Have a heart,
Buy
huh?
one.
But I mean, do you just go up to the library, the
Yes,
desk, and
yeah.
then just say, I want a heart?
Yep, at the
Okay.
circulation desk. There's a sign there, but yeah, you can
I don't
also
have any
ask
money
them, and
on it
then
either,
the circulation desk is also mentioning them as people are checking out too.
Okay.
Is there a start date for that?
I think it's already started.
Okay,
I think
okay.
they already started.
This is kind of minor again. This is Nancy. Down at your final bullet here, E, in other updates, you're working on
Yep.
with staff to review the code of conduct. Code of conduct for whom?
So the library has a code of conduct policy, and it really covers anyone who's in the building. Although it's meant to just make sure that there is a expectation set for what behavior should be within the library. And so it's a library board policy, but it's one that hasn't been reviewed in a while. And when we made the updates to the photography policy, it was mentioned how we would refer to the code of conduct policy if there was a conduct issue by somebody photographing irresponsibly. And the board mentioned, with good point, that, hey, what about that one? So, and it contains things like you have to wear a shirt and shoes in the building, and, you can't be yelling and screaming at other patrons or staff. There's no smoking, there's no drinking, things like that. So,
it's-
that's sort of what the
So
code
it's code of conduct
is.
for our
And-
visitors.
For patrons.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, that clarifies.
Yeah, but I mean, technically, staff, it's really anyone who enters the building. I mean, technically, staff also have to wear shirt and shoes.
That's a
and
given, that's a
Sure.
given.
stuff like that.
And behave.
But it is meant as guidance so that patrons know what they are expected to do, and certainly staff, like any policy in the library, utilize it to help communicate to patrons.
Okay, anybody
on
virtually
what those
have any
expectations
questions?
are.
Because I feel like the virtual people sometimes get left out. Is there any questions on the virtual group? Or from the virtual group, I should say. Anybody?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I have one. It was earlier in the report, the donation of $1,300 from these women. How did they find us? Did we find them? I'm very curious about how these things happen. In general, it seems like people come to us. In the case of the glass, I don't know, window, I don't know what we ended up doing on that circumstance. And then people are coming to us and wanting to donate money, which is terrific. I'm just curious how this happened in this case.
Perhaps the lady in her will.
So first, as a quick aside, the glass window is still happening. It's just he had so many projects to do, so he's gearing up to do us next. Excuse me. Regarding this donation from the family, their mother loved the library, and so
so that's what she wanted.
They wanted to make or loved reading, and so they wanted to make a donation in her honor.
Oh, that's lovely.
And that is why, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but when we talk about that planned giving, which is in the action plan and in my goals, I am excited to start working on that because, these things happen to us randomly, but I do have some plans on how to make sure there's a more formal structure so that people know we're open to donations like that.
Okay. I just have two quick things on page 17, which is the statistics. On Overdrive, I'm confused as to why there was a drop-off on Overdrive from second quarter to the end of the year. I mean, to me, that would be, am I reading the statistics correctly? Because we went from, being earlier in the year, double digits, down to 3.2% increase overall.
So, the percent difference is, when you look at it month to month, is just from 2020 to 2021. And then the overall percentage difference is in the total column.
Correct.
So, you can see that in January, for instance, there was a huge difference in Overdrive usage between 2020 and 2021. And of course, even more so compared from 2019 to 2021. So you can see that in January through March, usage of Overdrive was very much increased, and then
it just dropped off, kind of.
April, and this makes sense, as the weather gets warmer, people are, more willing to come into a building, just because it's nicer out.
Sure.
And
so it's
also
winter month driven is pretty much the answer.
doing other things.
Yeah, and December is busy with the holidays,
like
so that all makes sense. Okay, I just don't want to keep you talking.
Overall, it was certainly a high for us compared to 2019 and 2020. So still a good statistic, and obviously one of our stronger ones compared to some of our other statistics.
And then on curbside pickups, I just thought chances are there'd be an increase in them due to the increase in COVID cases. But it doesn't look like that's happening. So obviously we're still going to provide curbside. Do you have any quick theories? I don't want you talking too much here, but just
about curbside.
About curbside, I just thought we'd have more, as unfortunately the numbers have grown.
Yeah, at least based on my observation of this year, I don't think curbside is dictated by COVID.
Okay,
I think
Good
that
to
there's
know.
a small group of users who are using it for whatever their reason.
okay,
And again, I think I mentioned this before. It doesn't require any additional staffing.
Yeah.
We already have a staff member sitting at reference desk. So if they're not helping that person, they're helping someone else. So, for the 2 minutes it takes them to walk it out to the car, it's worth it. And the story that I think of, it was 1 or 2 months ago, where this woman called and she said, I'm about to have hip surgery.
Mhm.
It's really difficult for me to walk. And so I was really happy that we had that service that we could offer to her, because she wanted to stock up on books so that she had
For
them
surgery.
for her recovery.
Sure.
Otherwise, getting in the building would have been very painful for her.
So
I don't know, what the reason is for each of those people. It's not correlated to COVID, so it's just a nice little bonus service that we can offer people. And yeah, I'm happy to
all right.
offer it.
Yeah, because I mean, initially it was kind of, but it sounds like what we're learning is it really isn't ultimately, which I guess is good news.
Well, in 2020 it was,
Yep.
but yeah, in 2021, no, I would not say it's, maybe in the beginning of 2021, but I would not
Later
say
on.
it's driven by COVID now. And,
Okey-doke.
luckily, frankly, it is at a pace that we can do. Frankly, if it was higher, I might have to consider adjusting it, because it would create a larger impact on our services. But it's at this right amount where it's not difficult to make that accommodation for people. And, I think those few people who, whether they have 2 children strapped into car seats and they really don't want to get out of the cars with them, or they have a mobility issue, or whatever the reason, it's feasible for us to support them.
Excellent. Okay, all right.
And the PR goes a long way.
All of those things. So, yeah, I just
Absolutely.
noticed the drop off, and I had, as I said, I stated what the question was about. Okay, anything else for Brittany, or Brittany, do you have anything else? If not, we can move on to unfinished business.
No, moving right along.
All right, so then we will go to unfinished business. And here is this was deferred from the previous meeting, the approval of the 2022 action plan. So and the reason we deferred was to make sure that we had as much of the full body present as possible. And so I'd like to, since I think we're missing Rob, is he the only one?
And Aaron.
And Aaron. Okay. So I guess under those, we're probably going to have people out off and on for the next, who knows how long. So I think I'm going to put on the floor a motion to approve the 2022 action plan. Anyone like to make a motion to that accord?
I would just like to make a comment before we do that. I'm so happy to see at the bottom of page 19, exploring new programs and outreach for seniors. I like that. I relate.
Yay.
Okay.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah. So is there anyone on the floor who would like to make a motion to approve the 2022 action plan?
I'll
make a motion to approve.
All right, whoever that was
Camille?
gets the motion.
Camille.
Camille? Okay, and then we're looking for a second.
I'll
I
second.
heard Tracy make a second.
Or Tracy made it.
Whoever got in there first. Okay, we got a second. So, any further discussion besides Nancy's input on the seniors? Anything else?
One thing that I'll mention, and I apologize that I didn't re-include the background document, which I had in the previous months, but just as a reminder, aside from any other questions or comments you have for me about this, I'll be looking for the board's feedback ultimately on whether I have both options still in the action plan. There's the pandemic addendum, but then I also have on page, where are you? Page 23. The bullet point under facilities, which references the public health emergency protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two ways that could show / document those responsibilities. And so I'm just looking to include it in one way or the other. And I'm looking for a straw poll maybe within this motion so that I know which one to do before we approve the document as a whole.
Okay. And so I'm clear, and hopefully then it might just be me, but the two choices are to utilize the language in the routine duties addendum, the last bullet point on facilities.
Yep.
Or what is our other option? If you could just be one more time on that. I'm sorry for not.
Keep page 22 through 23. I'm sorry, keep your page 22 or delete page 22 and just keep bullet point on page 23.
Okay, I follow.
Okay.
All right. So, I guess I don't have a preference. I mean, if we take this and we just, have this, it's still referenced on page 23. And since this was an issue with some of the members of the board, the page 22, as long as we have it referenced in the document, and it sounds to me, just I want to be clear for everybody here, that bullet point under facilities, the last one, is the same text as page 22. Is that an accurate statement?
It is basically saying that we're supposed to maintain public health standards generally, which is true whether, there's a virus or a, cryptosporidian outbreak or whatever.
Sure.
The pandemic addendum is listed within the public health emergency protocol. It's an addendum within that file.
Exactly.
So, yes. To answer your question, yes.
So page 22 is incorporated into the last bullet point on page 23. Just want to be sure
Yep,
that's...
It's included within the broader public health emergency protocol, which is intended to cover not just coronavirus, but any public health emergency.
Got it.
So.
Okay, well, I guess since I'm chairing the meeting here tonight, I will go first, and I would say I am okay with having that last bullet point on page 23, and then deleting, is that the correct word, page 22, out of the actual
Correct.
Document?
Yep.
So that would be, I'm okay with either way, all right, but this is new, so I'm telling you that I'm okay, and also as chair of the Strategic Planning Committee, that works for me, but I may have disagreement.
And actually, page 22 is never going to go away, right?
No,
We're always going to know.
here. It's here.
What the final details of it. We're always going to know those.
If you go to that last
Yes,
bullet point
yeah.
and that link, then you're going to find
Right,
it there.
right.
Maybe the easier question to ask here, is there anybody who would like to see page 22 remaining in the document? Maybe that's the easier way to answer this.
I think it would be
I'm
a good
fine
idea
with it
for-
not being, this is Camille, I'm fine with it not being in there as long as, like, we're stating that last bullet point has the file location to look up if necessary.
Because the word pandemic is in the bullet point also, so it's you wouldn't.
Right.
And on that note, I don't know. I don't want to make.
Well,
this more
wouldn't it
confusing
make
than
it
is.
easier though if it was all there instead of having to go off somewhere else and look for it?
It's always going to be there, though.
Yeah,
I know,
Always
but
gonna know that.
it's, it's right there.
Right.
You don't have to go to another location to look it up.
And that,
And you
again,
might
that works
not-
for me too. I have no
And you
problem
might
with either
not go
one.
there not knowing what's there,
Right.
not remembering what's there.
But then wouldn't you then have to include cryptosporidium and any other number of potential disasters into here and have a page for each one? I mean, I don't want to
Well,
complicate matters because I'm good with it being in here.
Universal.
But, that's, since we know that, as Brittany previously explained, cryptosporidium, I don't know what else would be in this particular T drive, Brittany, besides that. Then otherwise we're potentially singling out the pandemic now that you created the T drive. That was kind of the way that I looked at it. We're kind of back to, does anybody, Barb obviously is okay with keeping it in. So is there anyone else who feels that way?
I'm flexible either
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
It
so
doesn't-
am I.
Yeah,
So,
I'm good with either or.
yeah, okay. And Michelle, any comments since you're on the committee?
I'm sorry, what was that, Tracy?
She likes it
She
in
likes
there.
it in. I don't know, I always look for simpler. And I'm not real techy, so if it's there, I've got it. I don't have to go somewhere else and dig it out.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well.
me too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So since we have some that would like to keep it in, unless there's any huge objection, then I guess we would, we're gonna have to, I don't know, do we have to amend the motion? Because it's in here as it is, so we can just leave the motion as it is, and we have a motion to approve the action plan. Okay, so, any other concerns?
I have one more concern. I think this comes from my background. On the last page, 24, our services are to repair and clean the library materials to extend their shelf life. Isn't that the patron's responsibility to repair anything they damage?
I'm sorry.
Tony?
That's a great question. And while normally we love accountability, patrons don't always have the right materials to repair the items. Like, we have special book tape that is more than just, Scotch tape.
Mm-hmm.
We have special cleaners and solvents that sometimes can scrape away certain debris. We have special bookbinding glue and machines that can secure books, book spines that maybe have become loose. And so while I appreciate the thought of a patron trying to repair something they damaged, we are better able, the discs, when they get scratched a little bit or somebody with Cheeto fingers touches it when they eject it, we have a machine that can often extend the shelf life of those discs by taking them through this disc washing process in this machine. So it is better for us to do those repairs. Where we want their accountability is for them to actually say, hey, I dropped this in a puddle, so that we can assess whether or not we can repair it or whether or not we need to charge them.
Okay.
All right. And to wrap this up, two very, very quick things. I actually left you a Post-it note this weekend, not knowing you were out, so you can get rid of the Post-it note when you come back. On the beginning of the action plan, I just noticed the last sentence before you get into the initiatives. Actions submitted under each goal are projects, and it looks like we need to close that up with there's too many spaces there. So small thing.
I'm sorry, so you said at the beginning of the
the beginning of the plan, actions submitted under each goal. So it's the last sentence before you get to the first initiative.
Oh, sure.
If you could just close that up. And then my only other comment is, I noticed that there's a lot of what I would call white space, where there are some big gaps here. For an example, page 19, develop innovative and appealing programming plus enhance existing services for a wide range of adults. If you look at all the previous things, there's, everything is one space and out. That one has probably 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in this big white space that's created. My assumption was, Brittany, is that you did that on purpose because of page breaks. But there's quite a few of them. If you go to page 21, the last bullet point, you got a lot of white space there. And I don't know, I can't imagine it would save a page for you or, any number of goals you might have with this. But that was the only other thing that I noticed. Once you get things, I don't say close to perfection, but where you want them to be, you see these things. And so I just thought I would point that out.
And for that, I wouldn't have room. I wouldn't be able to, it would cut off the next.
See, that's what I'm concerned about, is it's page breaks that are an issue, so I'm not.
The question is, I can shorten that blue up, or tighten it up, but then there will be white space, or I can extend the blue down, and then it looks like I'm missing something.
And then you're missing. That's what actually my concern is when you have these bigger gaps. is that it looks like
Yeah.
we're missing something. Okay, that's the only reason really why I brought it up. Plus, it doesn't
Yeah,
look
I mean,
right compared to other
That's a
paragraphs.
good point. I'll lift the blue. I think it's probably better to have the white space than the blue because it does look like I forgot to add something.
That, and
So-
you know, again, that's not for me to micromanage, it's just something that I noticed that, you know, I
Yeah, that's a
figured
good
you had a
point.
reason for it, you know, so,
Okay, I'm just gonna make a note of that.
Okay. don't change it on
Anything
my account.
else? Any other questions about any of
Yeah.
these goals or objectives?
anybody?
We have the planned giving that's going to be a focus this year, and we have the city's or the website usability study that's going to be in there now. The city's website update has been completed, so I can start developing those questions and gathering
And Brittany, I'm sorry,
patrons. So that's exciting to be able to start working on that.
Brittany, I need to interrupt you because
Anything else? Any other questions?
we didn't do the vote on the action plan. We put the motion on the floor and we were in discussion, so I just have to call for the vote real quick, okay?
Oh yeah. Any other questions about the action plan though?
Right, but I thought you went to your goals, so that's why I was stopping
Oh
you.
no. My goals are similar to the action plan.
Okay.
So, but
All right,
I
my
was just calling
apologies.
out some of the things in the action plan because
Okey-doke.
those things are already in the action plan as well.
Right.
My apologies. Okay. I apologize for that, Brittany. I thought you were moving on without doing the vote.
I don't think there's anything else except for that. I don't hear or see anyone else with any other questions.
Okay. So what it
Anything
looks
else
like,
for me?
the motion on the floor is to accept or approve the 2022 action plan as provided in this document. Because of the pandemic and all of that is in there. There will be no changes. Okay, everybody on the same page that way, because that's the vote? Okay,
Yes.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I,
Any opposed? I'm waiting. Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everybody, for that. Okay. All right, and now, Brittany, I gotta figure out I'm working off of two agendas here, one sec. Now we're looking to new business. Okay, so this will be the time that we go into closed session, and then we will open back into open session to discuss the RFID. So I guess I'm on here to read the motion. The notice of closed session. The library board of the city of Muskego will meet at approximately 5 p.m. or as soon thereafter as time permits on Tuesday, January 18th, 2022 in the library conference room, Muskego Public Library, S73 W16663, Janesville Road, Muskego, Wisconsin. Following conclusion of consideration of the above portion of its regularly scheduled agenda, to vote on a motion to convene in closed session at said time and place for discussion relative to discussion/action relative to the approval of 2022 library director goals. The library board will hold the closed session in the library conference room. A closed session for the above purpose is authorized pursuant to the provisions of Wisconsin Statute Section 19.85 sub 1 sub c, which authorizes a governmental body, upon motion duly made and carried, to meet in closed session to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Upon conclusion of the closed session, the library board will convene an open session to consider its public agenda, including motions to recommend approval or rejection of the above listed deliberations or any of the public agenda items that have not been acted upon. Okay, so we are at 5:40. I'm looking for a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 1985 sub 1 sub c.
A motion.
And that is,
Michelle.
okay, Michelle, we have a second?
I'll second. This is Camille.
Camille, okay, and we are in closed session at 5:40. We have a little.
Correct.
Okay. So, we're just, it looks like we're not looking for a vote. We're just looking to discuss. Correct also?
Yeah.
All right, Brittany,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we need your
So
voice
this
again.
is just a verbal update right now. I was initially hoping to have a better set of numbers for you at this meeting, and I just wasn't satisfied with what I had. I wanted to do some deeper research on a couple of components of this project. So what I will just tell you, where the RFID project stands is that I'm in the midst of getting proposals from 3 vendors, Envisionware, Biblioteca, and a company called FE. 2 of these companies are companies we've used, the system has used before libraries in our area, and one is just a third company so that we have 3 good comparison quotes. This proposal is going to include the gate system, the RFID pads, the self-checkout machines, the software, the delivery, install, and disposal of our old gate system. So far, just as a heads up, the pricing is all coming in within budget. So you had approved $45,000, which had then been approved by council. Right now, the numbers are coming in between 31 and 40,000. So we will be within budget on this project, which is great. The thing to note, and the reason why I wanted a bit more time, is that these vendors are not apples to oranges. So I have to make sure that when I give you the numbers, it's not just the numbers you're looking at, because some of the vendors have different hardware that offer different features, or different software that offers different features. So this may be a scenario where the lowest cost is not the one we recommend going with, because there might be one that's a little bit more expensive, but it offers more features and more options for our patrons.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of
So
sense.
what I'm going to do is at the next meeting, I'm really going to push to make sure that I have this for you in February, because some places are really back ordered on their orders, and I would love to start this project as soon as possible in late February or early March, because I do anticipate it taking 6 to 9 months to complete.
Wow.
So anyway, so you can look for that next month, and what I will do is provide a background document that talks about what the proposals include. I will show you the 3 different companies along with the amount or like what the cost is of the proposal. And then I will also note any, I'll call them X factors or features that certain vendors offer that the others don't. And then what I was planning on doing is coming forward with a recommendation and then showing you the proposal of that one vendor. Okay. Does that sound like that would, as opposed to showing you all 3 proposals, does that seem okay if I show you the numbers of all 3 vendors and then the proposal of the one I'm recommending? Does that seem okay?
Yes, that seems fine with me.
I have no problem with that. My question was going to be, it sounds like there's a pretty big gap, 31 versus 40, and our budget is 45, I think you said, correct?
Correct.
So if in the apples to apples comparison, if everybody was apples to apples, and I don't know if that's possible, but if it was, would we potentially be exceeding the 45,000, or is it really, forgive me for saying it this way, but you get what you pay for? So the one at the $30,000 end has fewer services versus the one that's at the 40, or does it not work that way?
Well, no, that is how it would work. So,
But then why wouldn't we put them all apples to apples, I guess?
And so, yeah, so I mean, we will not exceed our budget.
Mm-hmm.
I have looked at the whole fruit basket compared to Adjusted Apple, and we will not exceed the budget. But within that, I want to make sure, because not all features are necessary, right? I mean, you can buy a refrigerator with an ice maker, but you don't need the ice maker, but it's nice. So what I'm doing right now is making sure that I'm evaluating all of these extra features and sort of deciding, is it worth that or not? And I'm stripping away some of the ones that aren't worth it. And so, so that's why I'm taking a little bit more time. I wanted to talk to some of the directors, because one of the you get what you pay for scenarios is, how is the technology support? right?
Mhm.
Because
Sure.
we could go with the cheapest vendor, but if they only offer remote support and they're awful at it, then
That ain't
we
worth
are
much.
spending a lot more time, staff time wise, on staff trying to repair it themselves when they don't know how to do it.
Especially in the beginning.
So that's one of those sort of more subjective things. And so I've been talking to other directors, some of which who work with these vendors, to say to them, please rate their technology support. It's not just about the proposal. It's about what is their relationship like with you after, they've secured you as a customer.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point.
I'm just taking a little bit more time because, this is an environment we will be in for a long time.
Yep.
Once you invest in the hardware, you stick with them for a while. And so I want to take my due diligence on this because we would, I don't want to make a mistake on it, basically. So
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm close but not quite there. So in February you will have a nice set of numbers before you. You will have a proposal before you. I will make sure that I outline very specifically what the difference is between the vendors so that we can have a good discussion about it.
That sounds terrific. I'm kind of excited. This has been a long time coming. We've seen it on the
I know.
capital budget and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff for so
Right.
many years, and
It'll
it's
be
so much
great.
less than
And,
what we thought it was going to be.
We
So-
also know that the system is very excited. One of our library neighbors who's already on RFID said, I can't wait for Muskego to get there because they share so many books with us back and forth. So we are
Makes their life
we
easier
are soon
too.
to become
Yeah.
heroes of the system when we upgrade.
Well, you know what? I would say I'll be a hero. I mean, our library should, that would be great to be a hero, but if they're already doing it, why would we be a hero, I guess?
Well, we're getting on board as opposed to resisting. So.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, enough said. Okay, so there's nothing that we need to do on that item, so it looks like we're at communications and miscellaneous businesses authorized by law. Anyone have anything? Oh, we do.
I would like to
At
say,
6 o'clock.
sorry,
No.
that I was disappointed that the Ancestry is not remote anymore. I was just gearing up to use it. And do they have a program? Because dragging everything to the library is not.
Oh, I see what you're
know.
saying. Okay, yeah. Oh boy.
And Barb, I will pass this feedback along to the along to the vendor. They had flipped the switch to let us have access all libraries during the pandemic. So clearly they have a very easy technology way to do that. They did it for free, which was very generous of them. I knew that ride wasn't going to last forever. What I thought they would do is say, hey, we're not going to allow this anymore, but you can pay for a remote package for this amount of money. And then our libraries and library system would have to decide whether or not we were going to prioritize that. But so far, they have not offered that as an option to purchase. So we know they're capable of doing it. And so I'm going to pass that feedback along to our system and say, hey, let's start poking them to offer this as a priced out service and see what it costs, because we know they can do it. So there's no reason why they shouldn't try to, make money off of it.
That would be so awesome because you set everything up and, to drag it back and forth is not convenient.
Yeah, as long as there's a monetary option to them, otherwise I think, why would they
system
not
on that on
do it?
Monday.
Because
Thank
they use
you.
their service more. Yeah, actually it's a cousin that I found that I didn't even know I had because of Ancestry, so that's quite a story in itself, but she has done tons and tons of research,
That's what you
and
need.
she cannot get at it anymore. They're making her pay for every little thing, and it's stuff that she's done, so I don't know if one person's story is any other indication, if maybe they're switching their financial model or, something like that. That might be in part what this is about. Maybe you will hear from them, but doesn't hurt to be proactive at the same time. So, but yeah, she can't get any of her work out without paying for it now, which seems kind of odd.
Oh, well, that stinks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There might be something more going on here, that's just one person and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, on that note, anything else? Because if not, we'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. You don't want to stay? Barb is moving to
Nobody
adjourn.
wants to go home?
Do we have a second?
A second.
I think that's
Okay, wait,
Michelle.
I'm sorry, who was the first? Michelle's the second. Who's the first?
Barb.
Barb first, Michelle second. Okay.
All right, all those in favor say aye, aye,
Aye,
aye.
aye.
All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned at, almost made it, we were close, 6:03.
Yay!
All right, thank you, everybody. Brittany,